Hey guys.
So, I married the emperor thinking it'd be just for show, but guess what? I can hear his thoughts now. And, oops, I might have accidentally become his favorite. Yeah, this is gonna get messy and juicy. I am an unfavored concubine. One day, out of nowhere, I suddenly gained the ability to read minds. I could hear the thoughts of that scumbag emperor. He smiled warmly as he helped the delicate noble consort Gao up after she fell, yet in his head he was cursing. Idiot. He politely and graciously raised a cup to the Chancellor. Another day, I must drink with you until we're both drunk, my dear minister. But then, in the darkest corner of his mind, he added, after I wipe out your entire clan first. By entire clan, he meant executing everyone remotely related to him.
Boo, so terrifying.
Even more terrifying was this. It seemed like he could hear my thoughts too. I heard him sneer internally at the newly arrived beauty. So ugly it hurts my eyes. I couldn't help thinking back at him. Like you're that handsome yourself. He shot me a sharp look. I'm dead. I'm so dead.
1.
Because of this, I haven't slept well for several nights in a row. Back when I first realized I could hear Xiao Qi's thoughts, I was thrilled. So it turns out Xiao Qi doesn't actually like noble consort Gao, the most favored woman in the harem. So it turns out Xiao Qi isn't just plotting to kill the Chancellor, he's also planning to bring down the Empress Dowager. So it turns out Xiao Qi really is, just as I suspected, even more twisted than I'd imagined. Those palace gatherings I used to hate suddenly became interesting. It was a massive gossip spectacle. Listening to a deranged, trashy emperor roast his own harem in real time was way more satisfying than reading live comment spam on Bilibili. That's right, I'm a time traveler. I used to think mind reading was heaven's gift to this chosen transmigrator, my ultimate survival cheat. I never expected that. His Majesty arrives. I froze all my thoughts and emptied my mind completely. Today, I decided to test it.
2.
The first time I suspected Xiao Qi could hear my thoughts was also at a harem banquet. That day was noble consort Gao's birthday. The entire harem sent lavish gifts. Even the Empress Dowager presented a pair of extremely valuable jade rui scepters. Of course, Xiao Qi came as well. I was all excited, ready to hear his vicious inner commentary, but the music was so loud that night, and I was sitting far away, that I couldn't hear a thing. So I got bored. And when I'm bored, I like to count heads. 1 concubine, 2 concubines, 3 concubines, 99 concubines. Shut up. Xiao Qi suddenly barked. The entire Farong Palace fell deathly silent. I was so startled my mind went blank for a moment. Xiao Qi's dark eyes swept across the room once before he said calmly, "It's nothing."
Continue.
I let out a breath in my head. That scared the hell out of me. You damn emperor. Then I saw him staring straight at me, eyes sharp as fire. 3. As an unfavored concubine, I could count on one hand the number of times I saw the emperor in a year. I seriously doubted he even remembered my name. So why was it that every time I complained internally, he seemed to catch me red-handed? Xiao Qi's imperial yellow dragon robe swept past my eyes. I sat upright, eyes lowered, focusing on my breathing. I already had a plan. The moment Xiao Qi sat down, I started counting again. 1 concubine, 2 concubines, 3 concubines. Recently, neighboring states had sent over more than a dozen beauties. There were a full 121 concubines present. I forcibly swallowed the final thought, "Damn emperor," and glanced at him sideways. No reaction. As expected. His public persona was that of a tyrant who never showed emotion. I rested my chin in my hand and gazed at him with starry-eyed admiration. Wow, His Majesty looks especially handsome today, refined as carved jade, eyes bright as the stars. Truly the most beautiful man in our empire. If he really could hear me, then the fact that he hadn't had me executed the first 2 times meant I was insanely lucky. This time, I had to flatter him properly. He calmly drank with the Empress Dowager. I continued, "Oh my, what's wrong with your Majesty's collar? Is it curling up? How could those servants attend to you so poorly? It really affects your majesty's mighty and wise image. Xiao Qi set down his cup and casually smoothed his collar. Me. I immediately lowered my head. People are born good by nature, similar at birth, but shaped differently by habits. I had planned this long ago. As long as you're human, and especially a modern person with free thoughts, stuck in this rotten feudal palace, how could you not complain in your head? But complaining about a tyrant gets you killed. So the only way to stop myself from complaining was to stuff my brain with other things. I recited the 3-character classic, then the Book of Songs, then the Analects. I didn't dare look at him again. Finally, as the banquet was nearing its end, I relaxed my mind and prepared to make a run for it. Then I suddenly heard Xiao Qi's slightly tipsy voice. Su Qingqing has been in the palace for 4 years now, and I don't recall ever summoning her. Come, he said, lounging against the main seat, charm flowing from his brows and eyes as he patted the empty space beside him. Come over here. Me, Su Qingqing, sitting in the corner of the 4th row, hunched up like a quail. 4. I was actually reborn into this world from the womb. Among all the transmigrated girls, I'd say I drew a pretty bad hand. My mother was an insignificant bedmaid. Only after giving birth to me was she promoted to a concubine. There were 2 legitimate elder sisters in the household, both pampered, both stunningly beautiful. In the year of the imperial selection, my father had already arranged good marriages for them. Then he turned around and tossed me into the palace. I wasn't particularly pretty, nor especially talented. It was only because my brother won 2 battles on the frontier that the emperor promoted me to the rank of Marin. These past few years in the palace, I always sat in the middle during banquets and stood in the middle when paying morning and evening respects to the Empress Dowager. On the rare occasions I saw Xiao Qi, I was always lost among a flock of beauties. Simply put, whether before entering the palace or after, I've always been someone with 0 presence. Xiao Qi's casual remark just now made over 100 pairs of eyes turn toward me in unison. Me? At this point, I didn't even need to restrain myself. My mind was completely blank. Su Qingqing? Xiao Qi raised an eyebrow impatiently. Ignoring the murderous stares from the favored concubines in the front row, I still made sure to hide my true thoughts. His Majesty wants me to sit next to him. What do I do? I'm so nervous, so excited. So tacky. Xiao Qi commented coldly in his mind the moment I sat down. Me. Suppressing the urge to snap back at him, I put on a shy smile. Your Majesty, let me serve you some dishes. Below us, countless eyes were practically piercing holes through me. At a moment like this, clinging to Xiao Qi's thigh was the only option. I silently recited the names of the dishes on the imperial table while picking food for Xiao Qi. These past 2 years of listening to his inner commentary hadn't been for nothing. I chose only what he liked. Sure enough, Xiao Qi looked quite pleased. In his mind, he said, "So this Su family girl truly is deeply devoted to me." I smugly fired off my own inner commentary. His Majesty ate the food I picked. I'm so happy. Then I heard Xiao Qi again. Could it be she used some kind of sorcery to curry favor with me? If that's the case, he sneered coldly. Then I'll make sure she dies a miserable death.
Clack.
My hand shook, and the chopsticks slipped from my fingers.
5.
As soon as the banquet ended, I claimed to be ill. Way too terrifying. The damn emperor already wanted to kill me just because he could hear my thoughts. If he ever found out that I knew he could hear my thoughts, and that I could also hear his thoughts, wouldn't he execute me on the spot as a sacrifice to heaven? Luckily, his mind-reading abilities seem to work the same way as mine. If you're too far away, you can't hear anything. So all I had to do was avoid him. As long as I stayed out of his way, it wouldn't be strange if I didn't see him for a year or 2. Xianglan followed behind me, sighing nonstop. Why did you have to fall ill at a time like this? What a perfect opportunity. Your ladyship, do you know? Even noble consort Gao has never sat in that seat before. That's an enormous favor. Oh, don't get up, your ladyship. Lie down quickly, rest well, get better soon. My illness lasted a full half month. Half a month later, I figured Xiao Qi had probably long forgotten about me. And I truly couldn't lie in bed any longer. So I went back to my leisurely, idle days with Xianglan. Although heaven had given me both transmigration and mind reading, I knew my limits. I'd read so many palace intrigue novels in my previous life. With my level of ability, surviving long enough to outlive the damn emperor, become a dowager consort, and leave the palace to pray at a temple, that would already count as a complete victory. That day, I was pondering what excuse I could use to skip the Empress Dowager's birthday celebration next month, when Xianglan came running over excitedly. Your ladyship, your ladyship. Little Ninth just came to secretly inform us. Oh, guess what he said? HM? He said His Majesty turned over your name card tonight.
Oh.
What did you say? Say that again.
6.
I lay on the bed in despair. Xianglan said, Your ladyship, are you overly excited? Your ladyship, even if you're excited, you should at least get yourself cleaned up first. Your ladyship, please get up. This servant will attend you for a bath.
No.
I'm not going. I don't want to attend the emperor tonight. Why do I have to attend him? What am I supposed to do when I do? Am I supposed to force my brain to flatter him even while sleeping with him? How would I even do that? Wow, so big. Woo, your majesty is so strong. Just kill me.
Right now.
Immediately. Your ladyship. In the end, Xianglan dragged me off to bathe, made a huge production of changing my clothes and doing my makeup. Your ladyship, look at your chest, look at your waist, His Majesty will definitely like this. I stared at my hopeless reflection in the mirror.
No.
I can't die. My mother still depends on me. Just wait. There has to be a way to muddle through this. 7. When Xiao Qi arrived, there wasn't much fanfare. He brought only his personal attendant. The moment he stepped inside, he swept his gaze over me and then thought, common and tasteless. Me.
Don't panic.
Hold the line. I followed the plan and bowed to him, bowing while chattering away in my head. His Majesty actually came. Thank goodness, my monthly cycle wasn't reported in time. Later, I must extinguish the lights first. No matter what, I have to get through this part. If he knew I was on my period, he definitely wouldn't touch me. Sure enough, Xiao Qi gave me a heavy glance.
Su Qingqing, rise. He casually sat down by the desk.
I hurried over eagerly. Your Majesty, allow this concubine to attend you for rest. Not in a hurry. He casually picked up the calligraphy practice sheet on the desk. Su Qingqing, what kind of books do you usually read? Just as I was about to answer, I heard his inner thought. This handwriting looks like it was scratched out by a dog's paws. Me? Hold it together. Replying to your Majesty, this concubine hasn't properly studied any books. In the past, when my elder brother studied, I liked to listen from outside the wall and read along. I don't even know exactly what the books were. In this dynasty, they valued women being unlearned. I absolutely couldn't say that all those classics I'd been silently reciting were things I actually studied. And yet I heard Xiao Qi sneer internally. Not very bright, but quite good at lying. Me? Empty it out. Clear the mind. Blank. Xiao Qi slowly put the practice sheet back down. Su Qingqing, have you recently come into contact with anything unusual? Or eaten anything strange? Replying to your Majesty, this concubine has stayed in Yaoguang Palace all this time. My meals are all delivered by the imperial kitchen. Any strange people? I dropped to my knees with a thud. Your Majesty, this concubine abides strictly by the rules. Unless there is important business, I never step outside Yaoguang Palace, and I certainly wouldn't encounter any suspicious individuals. Xiao Qi leaned sideways against the desk, his gaze flickering as he looked at me. His mind was strangely quiet. After a long moment, rise. Then he added, I see your complexion is poor. I'll come another day.
Passed.
I forcibly suppressed my excitement and hypocritically filled my mind with worry. Woo-woo, did I say something wrong? Or did I reveal some flaw just now? Why did His Majesty ask me all these questions? Why did he leave right after? If people in the palace find out His Majesty flipped my name card and left in less than a quarter hour, where will I put my face? Boo. While mentally acting devastated, I pretended to be reluctant and escorted Xiao Qi out. Just as we reached the palace doorway, the new dress I was wearing was too long, and I didn't quite step over the threshold. Which just goes to show, people really shouldn't get smug. The moment you do, things go wrong. My problem started right at that second. I tripped over my skirt and stumbled forward, and Xiao Qi, for some reason, suddenly turned around. I instinctively tried to dodge him and fell backward hard. He reached out to grab me, but tripped on the threshold. And then, thud. He on top. Me underneath. Perfectly aligned. Normally, this would be nothing, just a cliched scene straight out of a trashy idol drama. But unfortunately, I heard his thoughts. "I'm so soft." My awareness reacted faster than my reason, roaring deep in my mind. "You pervert." 8. I knelt ramrod straight in front of Xiao Qi. A last-ditch struggle. "Your Majesty, it's all this concubine's fault. This concubine shouldn't have worn such a long skirt, shouldn't have walked without watching the road. Did your Majesty fall? Should we summon the imperial physician?" I wiped away tears pitifully. Xiao Qi held a cup of tea and didn't even glance at me. He merely took a slow sip. Strangely enough, his mind was completely silent. Su Qingqing. After a long while, he finally spoke unhurriedly. "What does dead pervert mean?" "Me." It means..." Before I could cobble together an explanation, he shot me a look and curled his lips into a sinister smile. "And that damn emperor. Quite a creative form of address as well." "Me." "I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Now you know fear?" I thought Su Qingqing had the guts of a bear and a leopard, throwing insults at the sovereign as easily as breathing. "I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead." Xiao Qi said a few more things, but I couldn't hear a word. My brain had crashed, endlessly flashing the words "I'm dead." I only saw his expression grow colder and colder before his icy voice reached my ears again. "Whether you die later, I don't know. But if you keep making noise like this, I'll have someone twist your head off immediately." Me. Forced to stop the mental spam. "Your Majesty," my first reaction once my brain rebooted was to cling to his leg. "This concubine didn't mean it. This concubine will never dare again." Silence. Xiao Qi actually slammed the teacup onto the desk like a courtroom gavel. I was so startled, I shut up instantly. "Don't want to die?" I shook my head frantically. "If you don't want to die, then answer my questions honestly." 9. Xiao Qi interrogated me thoroughly, front to back. "So the first 2 times weren't my imagination. You were indeed criticizing me in your head?" "Yes. And whatever I think in my heart, you can hear it." "Yes. Since when?" Every time I said, "yes," Xiao Qi's face darkened another shade. By the time he asked that question, I genuinely thought he was about to snap my neck the next second. My tongue tied itself in knots. "2 years ago." Bang. He slammed the table in anger. The very next moment, he composed himself again and curled his lips. "In that case, Su Qingqing knows quite a few of my secrets. This concubine isn't very bright. I forget things as soon as I hear them, really." "Oh," he said lightly. "Then who was it just now that claimed she memorized the Book of Songs and the Analects just by listening to her brother read?" "Me?" A swift death would be mercy at this point. I honestly felt like I was about to break. Xiao Qi suddenly changed the subject. "But Su Qingqing managed to keep secrets for 2 whole years. You must be quite clever." He eyed me with those dazzling, inscrutable eyes. "Do you want to redeem your crimes with merit?" I nodded repeatedly. "Come here." He smiled at me. "Dog." "No, you misheard. I didn't say anything." 10. Xiao Qi actually wanted me to help him deal with Chancellor Gao and the Empress Dowager. He must have some serious misunderstanding about my cleverness. Still, between dying immediately and dying later, I chose the latter. And just like that, I became Xiao Qi's newest favored consort. Sole favor for an entire month, promoted 8 ranks in a row. During that month, Xiao Qi came to Yaguang Palace every day after court, openly entangling himself with me. Of course, that was just the surface. The truth was he found my mental activity too rich, that is, too noisy. The moment he entered Yaguang Palace, he'd go straight to the side hall. Don't be curious. I didn't sleep with him. In fact, I'd realized early on he didn't care for women at all. Over 100 concubines throughout the entire harem, and not a single one caught his eye. He was nothing but a cold, ruthless work machine. That month, I was very self-aware and stayed completely indoors. Whenever any concubine came to provoke me, I'd reply in an annoyingly smug tone. I truly exhausted myself attending His Majesty yesterday. Sister, perhaps come another day. According to Xiang Lan, the entire harem hated me to the bone now. Especially noble consort Gao. She'd thrown several fits in Farong Palace already, vowing to skin me alive and tear me to pieces for being a seductress. Thinking of the slaps she gave me when I first entered the palace, I felt my future looked bleak indeed. That month, my 2 legitimate elder sisters also sent messages through intermediaries, wanting to visit me in the palace. Humph. Visit for what? To reminisce about how they bullied me back then? Still, that month was the most comfortable month of my life. No, of both my lives. Fine clothes, exquisite food, extravagant luxury. No wonder so many people claw their way upward at all costs. Unfortunately, comfortable days always end too quickly. Sure enough, Xiao Qi ordered me to accompany him to a palace banquet. The kind attended not only by ranked consorts, but also by many court officials. 11. On the night of the banquet, I appeared in full regalia. As a qualified seductive troublemaker, this was obviously not the time to sit properly on my own. I leaned bonelessly against Xiao Qi's chest, my gaze poking at the pastries on the table. Your Majesty, out of the corner of my eye, I saw several elderly ministers already covering their faces in despair. Xiao Qi, on the other hand, acted as though nothing were wrong. He picked up a piece and fed it to me. He even smiled and wiped the corner of my mouth. Qingqing is truly naughty. Truly naughty. Qingqing. You, goosebumps everywhere. Try dropping even one crumb and see what happens, he warned me coldly in his mind, while his face remained impossibly gentle. Me. Your Majesty, do we really have to do this? I could see my pride-loving father. His face was practically turning liver purple. You still care what your father thinks? I don't. But Your Majesty, you did promise to arrange things properly for my mother. A ruler's word is law. I spoke sweetly. Your Majesty, let this concubine pour you some wine. I propped myself up, poured him a cup, and was just about to feed it to him in an alluring manner when I turned my eyes and caught sight of a young gentleman in blue robes sitting in the corner. My heart took a direct hit. Woo-woo, my white moonlight. What is white moonlight? Xiao Qi asked in his mind. Me. Nothing. I sorrowfully brought the wine cup to his lips. Anyway, my sacrifice is huge. Your Majesty should agree to one more request. Su Qingqing, don't push your luck. All right then. I smiled sweetly as I leaned into Xiao Qi's embrace, and Xiao Qi smiled sweetly as he held me. This kind of secret mind-to-mind communication feels almost like telepathy, like something out of a Xianxia fantasy world. What is a Xianxia world? Nothing. We'll settle accounts when we get back. Suddenly, Xiao Qi pinched my waist. Now, go provoke Gao Yinshuang.
Gao.
Gao Yinshuang? Noble consort Gao? I glanced at Chancellor Gao, sitting at the head seat, looking imposing and dignified. Right in front of her father? Why don't you just kill me directly? That's not impossible. No, I'll go.
12.
You really can't blame me for being a coward. I've lived 2 lives. In the first one, I was born into a family that valued sons over daughters. In terms of material hardship, I didn't suffer that much. But no matter if it was my father or my mother, the thing I heard the most growing up was, "Can't you just endure it? Can't you just let it slide? He's your brother after all." Or, Behave yourself. Don't cause trouble for the family. Don't cause trouble for your brother. This kind of brainwashing since childhood made me cowardly to the core. When trouble came, I hid. When I saw someone hard to deal with, I wanted nothing more than to transform into a quail and pretend I didn't exist. In that life, I ended up dying under the wheels of a car. That day was my brother's first day at university. I had already mapped out the route and was pushing a suitcase ahead of them. My mother and brother were following behind. As we crossed the street, I was thinking about where to take them for a meal afterward when my mother suddenly shouted at me, "Su Qingqing, can't you watch your brother?" I turned, and a car had just brushed past my brother. Luckily, my mother pulled him back in time. I was about to explain when thud. When I hit the ground, I saw my mother's panicked eyes, but I didn't even feel pain. I just wanted to say, so now you finally notice me. In this life, it's even worse. Your social class is fixed at birth. I've always been taught by my mother to endure, to yield, to please. Please my elder sisters, please my stepmother, please my father. If I didn't please anyone, that would be fine for me, but my mother would suffer. In this life, my mother is devoted entirely to me. I can't bear to see her suffer. So now, for me to straighten a spine bent by 2 lifetimes and confidently stir up trouble for someone, my legs went weak. Show some courage. Xiao Qi's voice echoed in my mind. I've got your back. 13. I straightened my spine, holding a cup of wine, swaying my hips, exuding the full aura of a seductive concubine. Sister, drinking alone must be so dull, right? At the banquet, men and women were seated separately, but they could still see each other. Noble consort Gao's lips were already bitten raw, and the moment she saw me, she spat. Vile woman. Shameless. I jumped, then realized it was Xiao Qi's inner voice. I didn't even insult you. Why are you so angry? Xiao Qi went silent. I smiled sweetly at noble consort Gao. Sister, with all that anger, you should drink this cup to calm yourself. A mere junior concubine, daring to offer me a toast? Noble consort Gao sprang to her feet and slapped my wine cup to the floor. What now? Xiao Qi, hit her.
Me, huh?
Hit her, Xiao Qi continued. Just as she hit you before, now you hit her. My hand trembled. I didn't even have time to think how Xiao Qi knew that noble consort Gao had slapped me before. I just remembered those slaps. My face had been swollen for days. I glanced at the men's side. Chancellor Gao was already looking over. Su Qingqing hit her for me. I gritted my teeth, closed my eyes smack. No one expected me to dare strike Gao Yinshuang. Chaos erupted instantly. Xiao Qi still said, Su Qingqing, did I not feed you enough? I hadn't dared to use full strength. Hit again. Me. Su Qingqing. Smack. 2 more slaps. I closed my eyes and gave her 2 more, leaving Gao Yinshuang dazed on the spot. The women's side was in complete chaos. The palace attendants around Gao Yinshuang and around me nearly came to blows. Several men rushed over, and Chancellor Gao shouted, How dare you? How dare you offend the noble body of noble consort Gao? He had been at court so long that even speaking carried authority, let alone shouting with such force. I stepped back 2 paces in fright, my slapping hand shaking uncontrollably. I instinctively wanted to play quail again. What are you panicking for? Xiao Qi's disdainful voice rang in my head. I lifted my head, seeing him so calm, walking toward me, his eyes shining like flowing light. Watch me, and I'll back you up. 14. Your Majesty. Xiao Qi was closer to us, so he arrived first, and both Gao Yinshuang and I spoke at once. But obviously, Gao Yinshuang's shout was far more heartfelt. Her face was practically swollen. Meanwhile, I, the fake favored concubine who usually called him damn emperor, sounded inevitably melodramatic. Yet, Qingqing, why did you slap noble consort Gao so hard just now? Xiao Qi frowned. Your Majesty, you should. Before Gao Yinshuang could finish, Xiao Qi's mind ached for my hand. Does your hand hurt? Shall we summon the imperial physician? Me. Really, you've got some nerve. Gao Yinshuang's expression froze, tears still hanging at the corners of her mouth. Your Majesty, Su Qingqing should not have appeared at the palace banquet given her rank. Moreover, she behaved so arrogantly, striking noble consort Gao in public, in full view of all. Your Majesty must punish her. Reportedly, Chancellor Gao adored his daughter. At this, his face turned pale. My dear minister, are you not satisfied with affairs of court, that you want to meddle in my harem too? I did not mean that, Your Majesty, it's just… But you reminded me, indeed. Su Qingqing is lowly. Such conduct toward a noble consort is inappropriate. Both Chancellor Gao and Gao Yinshuang's expressions softened a little. Noble consort Gao has always been overbearing. Today she caused a scene, violating decorum. But given her years of service managing the harem, she is demoted to third-rank Jiu. As for Su Qingqing, observing her pure heart, straightforward nature, and virtuous mind, she is promoted to Huifei. If Huifei needs to discipline a Jiu, that should be proper, yes? With that calm, nonchalant tone, Xiao Qi issued 2 absurd imperial edicts. Everyone present was dumbstruck. 15. Although I didn't fully understand court affairs, I realized Xiao Qi was probably using Gao Yinshuang to punish Chancellor Gao. But thinking of noble consort Gao's former favor and today's pale face, I couldn't help smirking. You really are kind-hearted. Xiao Qi increasingly revealed his true self in front of me, sneering. Back then, when he insisted on sending her to the harem, he should have expected today's outcome. TSK, no privacy whatsoever. Don't worry, Qingqing. I treat you differently. Pfft, as if I believe that. I no longer bothered hiding my thoughts from Xiao Qi. Anyway, if he wanted to kill me, he already had 800 ways to do it. During my bath, I couldn't help looking at my own hands. I actually slapped Gao Yinshuang 4 times. The first time I entered the palace, we happened to meet on the palace path. The gold hairpin on her head flashed in my eyes, and I was a second late in bowing. I don't know why she was in a bad mood that day, but she vented on me, exactly 4 slaps. This time, for the first time, I returned the grievances I had suffered. I couldn't describe the feeling, partly bitter, partly swelling. In 2 lifetimes, I had never dared to be this bold. But how did Xiao Qi know that Gao Yinshuang had hit me? Tonight, even just 1 or 2 slaps would have sufficed. Why did he insist I slap her 4 times? Could it be? I suddenly sat up in the bathtub. A question I had long ignored came to mind. The first time I suspected he could hear my thoughts, the music was so loud I couldn't hear his complaints, so I boredly counted concubines. In the same environment, how could he hear me? Xiao Qi practices martial arts. Martial artists have keen ears and eyes. Other senses are naturally more acute than normal. So, Your Majesty, I'm hungry. I want rice wine dumplings. When I saw the attendant bring a bowl of rice wine dumplings to Xiao Qi, I collapsed onto the bed. So Xiao Qi goes to the side hall not because I'm noisy, but because he doesn't want me to hear his thoughts. So this entire month, every single complaint I had, whether audible or not, was heard by Xiao Qi. Just give me a cup of poison already. No face left and still risking my life. I swear, I think I even heard Xiao Qi laughing uproariously, completely letting go of his composure.
16.
Your Majesty, my hairpin broke. Immediately, someone brought over a whole set of headpieces. Your Majesty, I feel like the tea on your side smells even better. Soon, 2 tins of new tea were delivered to Yaguang Hall. Your Majesty, why does it have to snow today? Why are there 4 seasons in a year, 12 hours in a day? Why do flowers bloom in spring and bear fruit in autumn, not bloom in summer or winter? What do you think? This time, it was Xiao Qi's personal attendant. He gave a strange glance at the inner hall. Your Highness, His Majesty says you're too noisy. I snorted coldly in my mind. If you think I'm too noisy, don't come. Stay in your diligent governance hall. No one will bother you there. Before long, the attendant came again, even more peculiar. Your Highness, His Majesty says you are his favored consort, so he won't go anywhere else. He will stay in Yaguang Hall. So, why can you hear him but I can't hear you? The attendant seemed on the verge of collapse. Your Highness, His Majesty says he won't come so as not to cough, lose control. Even knowing he meant lose control and kill me, seeing the attendant's subtle expression made my face flush. No matter how I fussed, Xiao Qi came to Yaguang Hall like clockwork every day. I still didn't leave the hall, and I had no idea how far along his plan against Chancellor Gao had gone. One day, the attendant brought a set of clothes. Your Highness, His Majesty says he wants to continue backing you up. I looked at the outfit, my eyes shining. Was he taking me out of the palace? 17. I never cursed Xiao Qi as damn emperor again. Really? He actually brought me back to the Su family to show off his power. My father, usually domineering at home, stammered through the whole thing and couldn't speak a full sentence. It turned out my mother had already been elevated to equal wife, and Xiao Qi had even given her an official title. Since I became favored, my father hadn't received a promotion, but just giving my mother a title meant everyone understood what that implied. No one in the household dared bully her anymore. When I met my mother alone, I couldn't help shedding 2 tears. She asked if life in the palace was hard. I shook my head, even though I knew it was all for show. In 2 lifetimes, I had never been this favored. Apparently, Xiao Qi had forewarned them. My 2 elder sisters were at home too. They surrounded me with flattery and fawning, practically treating me like a goddess. How's your posture? Xiao Qi asked in his mind. I internally rolled my eyes. Childish ghost. Xiao Qi didn't argue, just lifted the corners of his lips and tilted his chin. Like a proud peacock. I was dying of laughter inside. After showing off in my natal home, Xiao Qi took me shopping. Poor me, I had been reborn for over 10 years, and unlike other time travel girls, I had never gone to a brothel to listen to music. Xiao Qi taking me to a brothel? Impossible. Listening to music, though, was feasible. The first time, I didn't understand the local operatic style at all. Every line sung on stage, Xiao Qi translated in his mind for me. By the end, I didn't know what I had listened to. My heart felt like it was on a tiny boat, swaying and rocking. Like I said, one shouldn't get cocky. As soon as you do, trouble comes. When a large sword knocked over a table, I was propping up my tiny boat in my mind. Xiao Qi pulled me back forcefully, saving me from falling flat on the ground. Assassin! Someone shouted. I suddenly realized this was the sword and blade era, and beside me was the emperor, who got targeted most often. The chaos erupted instantly. Xiao Qi pushed me into a corner. Being a born coward, I should have immediately played quail. But I straightened my spine, not daring to blink. A large sword swung toward Xiao Qi. Stop! I didn't even understand why Xiao Qi shouted. When the searing pain hit my back, I realized that controlling my body was even harder than controlling my mind. I recklessly took a sword for Xiao Qi. 18. I thought I was going to die. Blood poured out like it had no price. Xiao Qi was furious, urging the carriage to go faster. I wanted to tell him not to rush. Time travel heroine protecting the male lead from a sword? Standard procedure. I don't know why the author had to arrange such a cliché scene. No fresh twist at all. My throat gurgled, but no sound came out. Then I remembered my golden finger. I called Xiao Qi in my mind. Your Majesty, don't worry, I won't die. Xiao Qi held my hand tightly. When he lowered his head, his eyes were actually red. He stopped talking to me in his mind and scolded me out loud. You're so stupid. Those assassins were arranged by me. Why did you need to take a sword for me? You should have told me earlier. You know I'm not the brightest. My fault. He actually apologized. Sorry, Qingqing. I won't hide anything from you anymore. Don't apologize, it's not your fault. My brain felt light, like it was floating, and words just poured out. Even though I always call you damn emperor. Honestly, you are a very good emperor. You govern diligently, care for the people, aren't obsessed with women, recognize talent. You've mastered the art of rulership at such a young age. The people are lucky to have an emperor like you. Actually, I'm lucky too. Xiao Qi, I barely even said Your Majesty. I've really lived well these 4 years in your harem. Just occasionally inconvenienced. No one had to curry favor, no one had to please anyone. Xiao Qi, is it snowing outside? It's so cold. Xiao Qi touched my face, hand trembling slightly. Qingqing, wait a little longer. We'll be back at the palace soon. I'm not waiting, I'm so sleepy. Su Qingqing, wake up. My brain couldn't think straight, my mind a complete fog. I just heard Xiao Qi repeatedly calling my name. Su Qingqing. Su Qingqing, you wanted me to promise you something, right?
Huh?
I struggled to focus amid the haze. If you survive, I promise you. Really? No empty words. Then, after all this is over, let me leave the palace. I think I stopped. Xiao Qi remained silent, no reply. My consciousness began to blur again. Fine, I promise you. Don't sleep. 19. Of course, I didn't die. But with such a huge wound on my back, I was bedridden for half a month. During those 2 weeks, it was said that Chancellor Gao and his faction were completely dealt with. Even Gao Yinshuang went out of the palace to pray at a temple. My other target, the Empress Dowager, also returned to the palace the day after Xiao Qi was attacked. On the day she returned, she dragged Xiao Qi over to scold him. Finally, Xiao Qi moved out of Yaguang Hall. But he still came over for an hour or two each day, so the outside world opinion of me, the enchanting consort, remained rampant. After another 2 weeks of recuperation, I couldn't help asking Xiao Qi, what do you want me to do next? Wasn't he supposed to challenge the Empress Dowager? You don't need to do anything.
Huh?
So I could leave the palace? Xiao Qi's expression suddenly darkened. I really admired him. He could make sure that during the 1 or 2 hours he spent with me, I didn't hear a single thought I shouldn't. Truly deserving of being an emperor. Unlike me, I would have long ago let my thoughts run wild. I know. I just need to continue being the enchanting consort, right? Xiao Qi's expression softened slightly. So the Empress Dowager's morning and evening audiences still aren't going?
No.
I looked at him, puzzled. He seemed in a bad mood lately. I'm in a very good mood, he said, tugging at the corners of his lips.
All right.
I lowered my head and embroidered a sachet. My embroidery had been forced by mother to practice, better than my calligraphy. When I looked up again, Xiao Qi was still there. I was about to ask what was wrong when I saw him hesitate, but he just flicked his sleeves and left. Me. Such a frustrating ghost.
20.
Sure enough, all I had to do was be myself, the enchanting consort. Half a month later, news came that the Emperor and the Empress Dowager were at odds. Because Xiao Qi was supposed to appoint an empress. The Empress Dowager wanted a girl from the Shui family to be empress, but the Emperor insisted on making me, the enchanting consort, the empress. With my background and reputation, naturally, it caused a storm in the court. Another month passed, and suddenly everything calmed down. No one mentioned the appointment of an empress again. No one boasted about how I had bewitched the emperor. I wasn't clear on what had happened in the previous dynasty, but Xiao Qi probably no longer needed me. He hadn't come to Yaguang Hall for a long, long time. Although occasional gifts still arrived, I hadn't seen him for ages. So that night, I woke up in the middle of the night and, half asleep, saw him sitting on the low couch by my window and thought I was dreaming. He wore a moon-white robe. No lamps were lit, just drinking tea in the moonlight. Xiao Qi? I forgot to say, Your Majesty. Sitting up, I realized it wasn't a dream. Has the Empress Dowager's matter been handled? Before I finished speaking, he said, No.
Oh.
A moment of mutual silence. You're not sleeping? Xiao Qi's hand holding the teacup paused. He set the cup down and walked to my bed. The bed in the side hall is full of dust. He lay down straight away. I scooted closer. He had no other intention, lying down with his back to me. I blinked and turned my back to him too. Forcing my mind to clear and sleep quickly, he suddenly asked, Su Qingqing, why do you want to leave the palace? My thoughts answered for me. Freedom. I could also, he started then added. After leaving the palace, what do you want to do? Not sure yet. But mother said some girls make a living as embroiderers. Finally, I heard Xiao Qi's thought. No wonder she's always bent over embroidery. I said nothing. He suddenly turned his body. Su Qingqing, what kind of man do you like? My spine stiffened. I didn't dare turn to face him. And your majesty? What kind of woman do you like? He was caught off guard by my question. Certainly not someone like me.
Who said?
You did yourself. I imitated his tone. Mediocre and trivial. Was I then just some ordinary man using looks to judge? You also said my brain is slow and I love lying. Xiao Qi propped himself up and grabbed my shoulders. But I also said you are pure, straightforward, and innocent. I turned to meet his gaze. It's fine. I wouldn't like someone like you anyway. Xiao Qi's words stopped midair. Those starlit, shimmering eyes dimmed. He sat up. Silence. The wind rustled the trees outside. After a while, the air turned cold. His voice turned cold too. In 3 days, I will send you out of the palace. It wasn't until 15 minutes after Xiao Qi left that my shoulders relaxed.
Sigh.
I really am a lying girl. I clearly like Xiao Qi. Like, terribly. Like, so much that my first instinct upon realizing it was to leave. He isn't mine alone. He is the whole harem, the whole empire. But this rare favor comes only once in 2 lifetimes. I want to preserve it. As long as I leave. As long as I don't see it with my own eyes. He will forever be the Xiao Qi who favors me, dotes on me, and backs me up alone. How perfect. 21. The next day, more gifts arrived from Xiao Qi. Jewelry, ornaments, calligraphy, paintings, everything imaginable and unimaginable. I felt like he was deliberately teasing me, knowing full well I couldn't take any of it, and even if I did, I couldn't sell it. And he sent them in batches. Each time, a whole room full. Just as the servants finished organizing, another room arrived. I wanted to go pick some osmanthus flowers, but too busy, so I went out alone. After all, everyone in the palace knew I was the enchanting consort. No one dared disturb me. It was golden autumn, and not far from Yaguang Hall, I found 2 osmanthus trees in full bloom. Yesterday, Xiao Qi said I embroidered all day, thinking I was preparing to leave the palace. I wasn't. I wanted to embroider a sachet for him, but I was never satisfied. I stitched many, back and forth, until one was barely passable. Today I wanted to pick some osmanthus and dry it, hoping to finish the sachet before leaving the palace. I only needed enough osmanthus for a single sachet. But just then, someone suddenly covered my mouth and nose. A strange fragrance filled my nose, and I lost consciousness. The next time I came to, I heard a loud shout. How dare you? You dare grope someone in front of my eyes. Why shouldn't I dare? Xiao Qi? I said, it's that enchanting consort causing chaos in the court. Heaven could no longer tolerate her. What does that have to do with me? The Empress Dowager? Ridiculous beyond reason. If His Majesty cared about mother-son bonds, he could have let me live comfortably. Then she would have returned naturally. Gu Sun has surrounded Kunyi Palace for me. Gu Sun, head of the Imperial Guards? I tried to focus, but everything went black. My hands and feet were tied, my strength gone. My throat felt burnt. I couldn't make a sound. No matter. We have a golden finger. Xiao Qi, don't bother. I'm here, I shouted in my mind. Xiao Qi didn't respond, but I heard the Empress Dowager sobbing. Though I am not your birth mother, I raised you myself. Did I ever let you suffer? The Shui family supported you to secure the throne. Even if they had no merit, they endured hardships. What harm is there in taking a Shui girl into the palace? Xiao Qi's voice, cold and solemn, that I had never heard. I didn't take the life of a single Shui family member. I only exiled the entire clan, which is already lenient for the Empress Dowager. You know well why she wants a guilty girl in the palace. Then the Empress Dowager won't be able to return that enchanting consort intact. Isn't that me? The Empress Dowager chuckled and said, I heard last night His Majesty even smashed up the diligent governance hall for her, and this morning he wanted to overturn his private treasury, sending all his treasures. Such abnormal behavior. Let me examine carefully. What witchcraft has she used on His Majesty? Nonsense. I heard Xiao Qi's thoughts. Footsteps approached. Make a sound, Su Qingqing. Here, here, I shouted in my mind. When Xiao Qi carried me out, I saw the Empress Dowager's face, deathly pale. She looked at me like I was a monster, trembling even while pointing at my hands. I looked back. She had hidden me under her bed. From today on, the Empress Dowager, frightened by the demon, shall go to the imperial temple to cultivate in seclusion. 22. Xiao Qi carried me all the way back to Yaguang Hall. The hall looked like it had been robbed. Everything was in disarray. The gifts that had been sent before weren't even cleaned up, and the palace servants knelt on the ground one by one. Xiao Qi gave me medicine, and I finally began to regain my strength. My throat could breathe again. He didn't make a sound. No words, no thoughts, just complete silence. He only wore a solemn expression while tending to my injuries. My hands and feet had been bound for quite a while and were bruised. I didn't know what to say, only silently apologizing in my mind. I'm sorry for causing you trouble. Suddenly, Xiao Qi tossed aside the medicine box in his hand and got up to leave. He stopped at the door, back to me. Leaving already? Then, go ahead. The sooner you leave, the sooner it'll be peaceful. He flicked his sleeve and left. I blinked and picked up the medicine box. Such a bad-tempered tyrant. Everything continued according to the original plan. The next day, I finished the sachet and placed it on the desk he liked to sit at. I had embroidered the character, Qi, on it. If he thought of me occasionally, he would see it. That afternoon, a servant from the diligent governance hall brought more things. This time, a stack of silver notes. Xianglan wiped her tears while organizing the small treasures for me. But she knew well that my favor was all an illusion. On the third day, it rained. The north wind howled. Xiao Qi wore a plain dark robe, with no attendants beside him. I had refused to bring Xianglan, so I was alone too. The long palace road was filled only with the sound of wind. It turned out that when the heart is closed, even someone with omniscient mind-reading cannot perceive a thing. Xiao Qi brought me to the west gate. Apparently, he had arranged everything beforehand. No guards were present. Outside, a carriage waited, my small treasures already packed inside. At the very end, I had to say something. Thank you, Xiao Qi. At the very end, I still didn't call him Your Majesty out of pretense. I lifted my smiling face toward him, but he glanced away. In my mind, I added, then I'll be off, and turned toward the carriage. The day had become so sudden, my hands still trembled from the cold as I got on. The carriage windows were wide open. I looked up. Xiao Qi stood at the grand palace gate, looking back at me. Drizzling rain, yet his features remained clear and defined. There was a saying used when flattering him that was actually true. He was exceptionally handsome. In the haze of misty rain, he looked like someone stepped right out of a painting. His dark eyes fixed on me, lingering for a moment before he turned away. I withdrew my gaze and closed the carriage window. Once the window shut, the light dimmed. Everything fell silent. I strained to hear a sound. I wanted to hear his footsteps. I would leave once I heard him depart. But after waiting for a long time, there were no footsteps. Instead, a quiet, clear voice resonated deep in my mind. Su Qingqing, I can't move. 23. I remembered that day forever. It was the most important day of my life. I sat alone in the dimly lit carriage, hearing the voice of a proud emperor opening his heart to me. I know you come from another strange and wondrous world. I know that what you seek in your heart is a lifetime with one person. I know that I, alone in my position, cannot act on personal feelings and must keep the empire in mind. My harem should only be a tool to balance the court and continue the lineage. But I am also flesh and blood. I can have feelings and I can love. Su Qingqing, my heart delights in you. Tears streamed down my face. I want to make you my empress. Not as a play, but from the bottom of my heart. Su Qingqing, will you stay? The rain outside fell harder, tapping the carriage windows like silver needles. I will respect you, love you, protect you. I will back you up for a lifetime. My words are true. I didn't know what I was thinking. Perhaps my mind, like my eyes, was still endlessly raining. Miss, can we go now? The coachman asked. I pushed open the carriage window again. Xiao Qi was still in the same posture, back to me, as if ready to leave. Yet he didn't move. His straight back almost blurred in the intensifying rain. Miss, the rain is getting heavier. I closed the window and stepped out. Almost the moment my feet touched the ground, Xiao Qi turned toward me. A strange light gleamed in his dark eyes. He strode through the rain and pulled me into his arms. I clung to his neck, unable to tell whether the water on my face was rain or tears. He gently stroked my hair, murmuring in my ear, "Don't worry, Su Qingqing. I will be a foolish emperor for you once." The end. Extra 1.
1.
Let's talk about my ship with Xiao Qi. Ours? It didn't exactly sail smoothly at first. Took several attempts before we finally landed. Really indescribable. I felt like I needed a band-aid for my brain. At first, I couldn't even think about it. I kicked him out multiple times. But he really practiced what he preached. The concubines in the harem were either sent away or dismissed. You can't exactly let someone stay a lonely widow, right? So eventually, I hardened my heart. Fine, come then. The first night almost went off the rails. First, my mind again ran ahead of my will, immediately thinking, ugly. Xiao Qi's expression instantly darkened. Have you seen anything pretty? I was about to say no, but my mind jumped in. Of course. No, I quickly explained for marital harmony. I've seen that kind of thing like spring palace pictures. Honestly, all my sex knowledge came from Po. Xiao Qi tugged at the corner of his mouth and pinched my chin. Then tell me, what do you think is beautiful? My mind automatically output Po's description. I'm dead. I kicked him away. Are you coming or not? If not, I'm going to sleep.
Of course, he came.
And tricked me into projecting all the colors in my mind. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Wouldn't pass review otherwise.
2.
As for Xiao Qi dismissing the harem, that naturally faced immense resistance. And every now and then, someone would drag the topic back up. One day I was delivering soup to the diligent governance hall and overheard a quarrel. Your Majesty, at 21 without a child, this concerns the state and dynasty. Are you implying I'm old? I dare not. Then step down. But, it's not that I'm unwilling, Xiao Qi sighed. But I have a hidden ailment. I can only stand properly in front of the Empress. Then, Minister, why not offer some advice? Or just replace the Emperor? I ran off carrying the soup. I really underestimated Xiao Qi's bottom line. He'll literally say anything. 3. The following spring, I finally became pregnant. The court and country rejoiced. Xiao Qi took me to a temple to pray for blessings. The famous monk who had been traveling for a long time looked surprised upon seeing us. As we left, he gifted us a pair of dragon and phoenix hairpins. Magically, once we wore them, we could no longer hear each other's thoughts. We tried many times. Whenever I wore the hairpin, he couldn't hear me. Whenever he wore it, I couldn't hear him. So I ordered that we both wear them for fairness. Especially during certain activities. Our lives finally returned to normal. At least we could choose normal or not. One morning, I woke in Xiao Qi's arms and noticed his hairpin had fallen. I reached for it. He pulled me back. I heard a heart thought I hadn't in a long time. Qingqing, my heart delights in you. Followed immediately by a kiss. Extra 2. The Rude Emperor's Mood Diary.
1.
Today, for some reason, I heard a voice counting my concubines. And, inexplicably, I heard the phrase, Dog Emperor. How audacious.
2.
There was again that voice. I am famously handsome. Does she have doubts? 3. I suspect the voice comes from that. Is it Su or Shu?
Was it a beauty or a jowie?
4. It really is her.
Su Marin.
This is not simple. I need to probe.
5.
She flatters me, flashy, remembers my preferences. Seems no different from other concubines. But something feels off.
6.
She is ill.
Ha.
Either playing coy or feeling guilty.
7.
She's surprisingly soft.
8.
Only the dead can keep secrets. Forget it. Use her, then kill her later. It's not too late.
9.
I found an empty side hall to ensure she can't hear me, but I can hear her. I'll confirm if she truly doesn't know about this mind-reading trick.
10. Fool.
2 lifetimes, still so cowardly. 11. Gao Yinshuang beats her, and she doesn't even get angry? What kind of people are the Su family, anyway?
12.
Annoying beyond measure. 13. Why is the diligent governance hall so quiet?
Fine.
No business today. Let's see what that good-for-nothing has done. 14. For slaps. All for me, not one less. 15. Finally realized I can hear her?
Ha ha ha. 16.
Bring her back to the Su residence to vent. And complete the last step of the plan. 17. She bleeds. My chest bleeds too.
18.
She wants to leave the palace. Why? Am I not good to her? 19. She asks about the Empress Dowager's progress. So eager to leave? Annoying.
20.
I don't want to move the Empress Dowager. Let the Xue family struggle a few more years. 21. I don't find them, yet they come to me. Want to be my empress? Take the road to the underworld. 22. Originally planned to use her to provoke the Xue family into showing weakness. Forget it. If anything happens, she'll just stay obediently in Yaguang Hall. 23. Went to the Su household to dig info from her little mother. If she likes that so-called white moonlight, I'll deal with him. 24. Turns out she wants to be a legitimate wife. Only willing to marry someone who doesn't take concubines. 25. Besides her, I have 121 concubines. I am not a good match. 26. No more Yaguang Hall visits. A ruler should not indulge in beauty. 27 to 28. Annoyed. Very, very, very annoyed. 29. Xue family handled. Can't help but check on her. She says she wouldn't like someone like me. 30. I smashed the diligent governance hall. 31. And yet the Empress Dowager won't give up. Absurd. 32. Send her off. Must send her off. Being swayed by a woman is not the way of a wise ruler. 33. She can leave. I cannot move. 34.
Why not?
What she wants, why not give it? 35. Be a foolish emperor once. Only this once. 36. She stayed. She's in my arms. I truly possess the empire. The end.